It was the Monday after Easter, and the house was still glittering with leftover decorations, paper chicks, ribbon bows, and a suspicious number of chocolate wrappers. George, the proud brown bulldog with a white nose and chest, was still on high alert. He hadn't forgotten the egg theft. Mitzi, George growled to himself as he paced the backyard. She thinks she can outsmart me. But I'm watching. Inside, Mom Magda was vacuuming up confetti. Dad Peter was fixing the loose gate hinge. And the girls were busy with their new Easter toys. It was one of those quiet spring afternoons where something always seemed just a bit too quiet. George sat at his usual spot near the garden fence, his nose twitching. Then he heard it. Ting! 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 A soft jingle, like a bell, coming from the other side of the fence. George slowly crept closer. He peeked through a hole between the wooden slats. And there she was. Mitzi. The silky grey cat with pale green eyes and a smug face. She was sitting on the neighbor's bird bath, swatting at the water with her paw like she had all the time in the world. George let out a low growl. Mitzi turned and grinned. Yes, grinned. Then she slowly reached into a small paper bag sitting beside her and pulled out a sausage. One of Peter's sausages. George exploded. Ruff! Woof! Ruff! He charged at the fence, paws pounding the ground. But by the time he squeezed through the gate and made it around the hedge, she was gone. Only the empty sausage wrapper remained, drifting lazily in the breeze. George sniffed the wrapper. Definitely Peter's special Easter grill sausage. How had Mitzi gotten it? He turned his nose toward the house. The kitchen window, left slightly open. George padded back and stuck his head inside. Magda was mixing dough, her hands covered in flour. Hi Georgie, she said, ruffling his head. Don't worry, I saved a sausage for you. Saved one? George looked at the counter. Only one sausage remained. He narrowed his eyes. Mitzi had been inside the house. That night, George sat under the dining table with a pencil in his mouth. Okay, it was a chew toy shaped like a pencil, but still. He watched as the girls played with their dolls and laughed. He was plotting. Dad, said Vita, climbing onto Peter's lap. Why does George always growl when he sees that silver cat? Peter chuckled. Because she likes to tease him. It's their little game. Game. George huffed. This wasn't a game. This was war. Later, after everyone went to bed, George put his plan into action. He dragged one of Dara's bunny slippers into the kitchen and placed it just under the window. Then, he climbed onto a stool and left the window just a little more open. Then he hid behind the curtain. And waited. Tick. Tock. The kitchen clock ticked loudly in the quiet house. George's eyes grew heavy. Maybe Mitzi wasn't coming tonight. Creak. George snapped awake. A soft sound. A paw landing on the windowsill. She was here. Mitzi slinked in like a shadow. Her bell didn't even jingle this time. She sniffed the air, crept forward. And then... bark! 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 George leapt out from behind the curtain like a furry tornado. Mitzi just smiled and launched herself out the window, knocking over a bowl of apples on her way out. Magda came running in her robe. What in the world? George sat proudly in the middle of the kitchen, next to the slipper trap. Well, said Peter, yawning from the hallway. I think George just caught a cat burglar. The next morning, as the family gathered for breakfast, Vita noticed something odd on the porch. A letter. Agatha picked it up and read it aloud. To George. You are clever for a dog. But the game is just beginning. Love. Mitzi, Queen of Oak Street paw prints. George barked twice and wagged his tail. Challenge accepted.